Hard work is always rewarded. This myth doesn't promise fairness, it promises patience. It flourished in societies where most people would never rise, no matter how hard they worked. The reward was always later. Later in life, later in heaven, later in history. Meanwhile, the work got done. Suffering builds character. Pain was reframed as moral improvement. If hardship made you better, then resisting hardship meant resisting growth. This myth trained people to endure cruelty quietly, believing their pain was shaping them into something noble. The ruler was chosen by fate or God. Power presented itself as destiny. Kings weren't just leaders, they were necessary. If authority is chosen by heaven, questioning it feels pointless and dangerous. Obedience became loyalty not to a man, but to the universe. Social hierarchies are natural. Every unequal system repeats the same defense. This is just how things are. Class, caste, gender roles, and inherited status were framed as biological or cosmic facts, not human decisions. If inequality is natural, rebellion feels unnatural. Children are born bad and must be controlled. This myth justified harsh discipline. If children are inherently flawed, obedience becomes moral training instead of suppression. It created adults who confused authority with safety and silence with maturity. Honor is more important than life. This myth turned sacrifice into obligation. People were taught to die proudly rather than live disobediently. It made war easier, quieter, loss acceptable. Questioning authority is dangerous. Not immoral, not wrong, dangerous. This myth linked curiosity with chaos. The obedient were praised as stable, the curious were framed as threats. Over time, people learned to censor themselves. The past was worse, so be grateful. This myth discouraged progress. By exaggerating past suffering, present injustice looked acceptable. Things could always be worse, so why complain? Gratitude replaced reform. You were responsible for your own failure. Structural problems were turned into personal flaws. If you failed, it wasn't the system, it was your effort, your attitude, your discipline. This myth protected systems from scrutiny by turning shame inward. Good people don't get angry. Anger was reframed as weakness. Calm obedience became virtue. Emotional restraint became morality. Righteous anger, the engine of change, was dismissed as instability. Tradition means wisdom. Old ideas were granted authority simply because they survived. The age of a belief became proof of its value. This myth froze harmful systems in place while calling them sacred. Everyone has their place. This myth sounded peaceful, orderly, balanced, but it quietly discouraged movement. Social, political, intellectual. Ambition became arrogance, contentment became duty. Sacrifice today brings security tomorrow. People were taught to accept scarcity now for promised stability later. The future became a tool of control, and when tomorrow arrived, the promise moved again. Silence equals strength. Those who endured quietly were praised. Those who spoke were labeled difficult. Over time, silence became a survival strategy and then a personality trait. The system is fair, even if life isn't. This myth separated injustice from responsibility. If the system was fair, suffering had to be personal, accidental, or deserved. It discouraged collective resistance by isolating pain.